Hello, Hushi here, and I am here to talk today, extemporaneously, as I do on these Hushi Talks episodes, about the future. One of the things that I really never wanted to do was become too political, but it has been impossible not to be political over the last few years because, well, everything has been going to hell because of bad politics. And I just wanted to take this time to reach out to you and talk about the fact that even though things are improved now, you cannot fail to be vigilant. You have to still hold these people accountable. There has been so much damage done that they're going to be occupied for a very long while re-examining these things and trying to roll back some of the damage, which is what they absolutely need to do. But make no mistake, they wouldn't have done any of this if they hadn't been directly threatened. These are not your friends, and while it has been extremely satisfying to see the ignorant pieces of shit meet with the most colossal failure because of their general ineptitude, we cannot consider, for example, the police our friends, because they are not. To any minority or anybody that is not in line with them, they're not your friend. And something else to consider is the fact that the people that were following Trump and the people that continue to follow him are not only objectively horrible people that you should absolutely feel completely okay cutting out of your life, but also these were people that fundamentally did not understand what a protest was and seemed to think that it was just a gathering of people who were somehow supported in doing this and were able to get away with rioting or looting or whatever they wanted to do at the time, which is absolutely not what a protest is. So you've got these idiots who thought that they would just do this big thing and it would be okay because, all those other people are doing this. But of course they fucked it up because they fundamentally don't understand anything, much less something as complex as a social movement. These dumbasses can barely handle social media. But that's not to say they're not dangerous. And it's not to say that we shouldn't take them seriously, if only just to shut them the fuck up when they get too loud and too obnoxious with their hate speech and all of the things that they do to victimize us. They want a tyranny that supports them. They don't want democracy. They don't want anything that benefits anybody other than them. And there's an irony too, because there's a lot of stuff where they are the ones benefiting, but they resent something because they've been told that they need to resent it. It's not something that they actually understand. It's something that someone told them, someone who has power. And we are finally seeing when someone in power of a great influence is finally held accountable for all of the things, or at least a modicum of things, for which he is directly or indirectly responsible due to his massive visibility and tremendous influence on especially stupid people. 4 years of having an incompetent moron and a complete bigoted, ignorant piece of garbage in one of the most visible positions in the world have empowered stupid, inept, incompetent people and empowered their hate. We must never forget that. And we also must never forget the absolute lack of action against any of this shit. The motherfucker brought back concentration camps. Because yes, that's exactly what they were, and no one did shit against him. He mobilized groups calling them ICE, which putting someone on ICE is basically killing them. And none of those assholes did a thing against him. It's very easy to take a stand when you've already won. It's very easy to take a stand against an enemy when everything is on your side. It's a lot harder for those of us that were, throughout this period, saying, this is wrong, this is evil, this needs to be addressed. So, one thing I really want to take the time to communicate, And one thing I really want you to remember is this only actually had any action whatsoever against it when politicians were threatened. When it came to where they work and where they live, they are fucking shitting their pants because they're thinking, oh my god, it's that easy. They were arrogant. They did not think about that. And that is a lack of responsibility on their part too. They did not take it seriously. They never addressed this problem. And look at what happened when it got strong enough and went ridiculous enough, because we live in a crazy universe, apparently, to actually threaten them or threaten their livelihood in some way. So we must always consider that. They could have acted long before now, but they simply refused to take any action. Do not trust them. Never trust them. It's tempting to look back at, say, Obama's presidency and think, oh, well, that was just so much better because he was just a better person. I trusted him. No, do not trust any of these people. I could produce a laundry list of the ways that Obama and his administration failed. And yes, some of those are the fault of obstructionist Republicans, but a lot of it is just politicians being politicians and not thinking they're ever going to have to be held accountable by or for anyone. Now, I'm not saying to do anything as stupid or as extreme as what those idiots did. That's just dumb, frankly. What I am saying, however, is don't be fooled into thinking that just because it was fun to win and fun to see them on the receiving end of a lot of the things that we've been protesting and we have been very unhappy about. Don't confuse that for having friends in high places. None of those people care about us, yourself included. None of them care about you, me, or any of us. The only time when they actually have to care is when it involves them directly, or when we as the people force something into happening, like a lot of the legalizing pot movement, which is pretty much entirely a citizen-run thing, by people who remember, oh hey, this is by, for, and of us. We can do this, and they have to listen. We have so many ultra-rich people in politics now, and a lot of the politicians are basically operating always to cater to those rich people. This is why voting with one's wallet, or purse, for example, is so important. It is incredibly important, crucial, that if we disagree with a company's operating policies, we do not patronize that company. We do everything we can to get what we need from someone else. And that's why I also tell you, there is nothing you can buy at any store that you can't get somewhere else in a comparable quality. And even if you have to pay more, it is worth not only the peace of mind, but the constructive, positive movement of not doing business with bad companies. And I know it's effort. You have to think about, well, do I really want to buy from this company? Should I buy from this company? Is this company going to abuse its workers or abuse the people in this country or some other country? Is this company a monster, an abomination that I am taking advantage of and thereby transitively, vicariously, taking advantage of other people that are not as privileged as I, that do not have the same resources or income as I, just to save a couple of bucks? Now, I'm not saying go free trade everything and look into every company because, a lot of people aren't going to do that. But I usually do like to look at the companies that I buy from and figure out if they are really wholly irredeemably evil or if they are tolerable. I'm certainly not going to give money to, say, an anti-gay company. I'm certainly not going to patronize a company that discriminates by race, gender, sex, gender identity. I'm not going to support any sort of company that does that sort of thing. And that's what you have to do. You have to think about, if these people are hostile to you, you don't really need to support them. You need to make it known by not supporting them that you do not support their evil and you do not support their evil acts, because otherwise you're just bankrolling someone's hatred, intolerance, and evil. You are promoting someone else abusing other people and yourself. So I feel like just to encourage those that listen to me, those that maybe this is your first time hearing me. If so, I hope you've enjoyed this, but I also hope you will take with you this very, very necessary lesson going forward. We must be vigilant. We must hold these people accountable at all times. We cannot just allow things to slide. We must insist on them doing things as we determine. They must go according to our values, our beliefs, and the virtues of a democracy of, by, and for the people. They are not above the law that they have chosen to dictate. They are not beyond accountability because their actions should come with responsibility. They are highly visible people and extremely influential. The jackass going out now is responsible for hundreds of thousands of people dying, if not more. He is responsible easily for millions in injury, misery, and various other problems. We cannot afford to forget the horrible things, the atrocities, and war crimes and human rights violations that have been committed in the last 4 years alone, to say nothing of the past 20. We cannot continue to tolerate intolerance, hate, brutality, and oppressive attitudes in our civilization. We cannot continue to censor. We cannot continue to allow propaganda. And we must, above all, never ever support anyone or anything that merely uses and abuses that support to empower hatred, intolerance, and evil. And I know it is a paradox, but we cannot be tolerant to hate. We cannot be tolerant to that intolerance, because once you empower intolerance, it takes away tolerance. To use the Nazis as a metaphor, because we were dealing with Nazis and we still are dealing with Nazis, even now. We will probably be dealing with fucking Nazis until the day we all die. But that's the sort of thing we cannot be tolerant of. We cannot accept that kind of social toxicity and social problems, because as we have seen, and as history has proven more than once, totalitarian, authoritarian regimes, like the Nazi regime, always end up costing us tolerance, enlightenment, and progress. They cannot be allowed. We must all continue to be vigilant, and we must all be attentive. Let us go forward with a mind towards accountability and responsibility, as well as holding those responsible in leadership positions who should be more conscientious and more thoughtful of the people they supposedly represent. Until next time, you're welcome. Bye.